So you've just read the above post, and most handheld cameras will do the job for you with automatic settings. However, if you don't want to use your mobile camera, such as this one, or a handheld device, you can alternatively go for the more expensive approach and using these big DSLRs. There are three main settings on these kind of cameras: one, shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Once you gain a knowledge of all three of them, it becomes a lot easier, so let's get stuck into that. Okay, first up, on your DSLR, you're going to look at shutter speed. Shutter speed is the time it takes for the shutter to open within your camera for the light to expose on your image. The higher the number, the darker and sharper the image will be. However, the lower the number, the lighter, brighter, but out of focus the image may be also. Let's look at a few examples of varying shutter speeds. Next up we have aperture. An aperture is the size that your lens opens up to let light into your camera. You usually want to keep, for miniatures, around 5.0 aperture. Anything less than that, it may become overly bright and your miniature may not be in total focus. The lower your number, the wider the lens opens up and lets more light in. That's really good for taking photographs of faces, however not for miniatures. Lastly, we have our ISO. ISO is how much light is allowed to be generated within your photograph. I usually keep my camera at 400 to 800. I never really go above 800. The higher the number, the more grainy it's going to be. However, the lower the number, it's darker as well. So you've got to fight with that. In conclusion, I'm always going to be using, for miniatures, a 35 to 55mm lens on my DSLR. The settings are never going to be above a 1/60th of a second, and I usually keep it around like f5.0 and 800 ISO. That usually keeps me pretty solid for miniatures as long as my lighting is appropriate. I will adjust those settings, however, on the fly if I feel it's more necessary, and always remember to take your photographs at the biggest resolution possible. The bigger the better.